Hey, so
So,
today, as of recording, is May 22nd.
okay.
And at May 22nd, 10:23 in the morning, IGN put out an article about a Magic the Gathering story comic book that they're doing.
Yes.
Dark Horse Comics has acquired the rights to do Magic the Gathering stories. And it says the new line of books is coming, and the first one that they're doing, Magic the Gathering Untold Stories Elspeth, is an adaptation of an unpublished story from the Theros Beyond Death expansion. That is my story.
That is your story.
That is the one that I wrote, that I've talked about before on this podcast. So on the one hand, hooray, some version of this will finally see the light of day.
Yeah.
On the other hand, this article includes 4 cover images, and I'm not anywhere on there. And, let's be clear about this. This was work for hire. This is their IP. I was paid for the story. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them taking this story and doing something with it, right? This is fully within their rights. But I would kind of like to be credited for writing this story. Depending on how closely they hew to the story I wrote, there's a bunch of characters that I created that are in it, which, again, they have rights to.
Yep.
They can do this if they want, but I'm not even mentioned in the article. It doesn't talk about, a story by Dan Wells. If this was just, let's talk about Elspeth, that would be one thing.
I would be willing to bet, and I don't have any insider information here, I'd be willing to bet that they came and said, all right, what stories, what are we going to tell? To get us going, do you have anything? And because I have had this exact experience many times, like when we were doing Lost Tales. Right, for the thing.
With the story deck, we came to you and we said, what kind of stories can we tell? What have you got that hasn't fit into a product so far?
Exactly. Like, and you're doing this all the time. You always want to take something that you've got, that you've done a little work on, and be like, can I make use of this? And I'm sure this happened. I would lay money on we got this story that's really good that we didn't release for various reasons. Maybe we should do something with that. And they're like, you've got the text of a story already. That's so much easier. Give us that.
Yeah.
So,
and this is something that happens to eventually any write-for-hire writer who is working in somebody else's IP.
Yeah.
Like whoever created the character of Daredevil for Marvel did not get paid any royalties when the Daredevil TV show came out.
Right.
That's just how write-for-hire works, and I understand that, and I'm not bitter about it.
You're not looking for royalties, but
I'm not looking for money. I want them to admit that this is my story. I want them to tell people, even if it's just in the corner of the cover, story by, and then written by. It's written. The funny thing is, it's written by Dan Waters, who works for Dark Horse, did a TMNT series. So it's another Dan W. Dan W's got to stick together. I am very happy for Dan Waters to have gotten this and to write the story. But script by Dan Waters, story by Dan Wells would be a nice bone to throw me.
Yeah, since they never published your story that you love.
They never published my story, and it's
I've
a
read
really
it,
good story. Whatever. Let's go ahead and shout out the other creators on this. The illustrator is Owen Gienny. The creative team also includes colorist Hilary Jenkins and letterer Clayton Cowles. All of them are fantastic, I assume. Yeah. So, hooray.
Hooray.
I'm glad that my story will finally get into people's hands. I'd still like the print version to come out, but I wonder if this means that now the print version won't because they've adapted it.
Yeah, they might have changed
way.
Key points and put things into continuity that weren't in continuity before or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
so anyway, everybody look forward to that. Magic the Gathering Untold Stories Elspeth. Yeah. Hooray.
Hooray.
And Elspeth, even before this, Elspeth was my favorite Planeswalker. I was so psyched to be able to write an Elspeth story. So
did they have an outline for you?
No.
No? Okay.
What they told me was Elspeth is dead in Theros, which means she's gone to their version of the underworld.
Because that's their Greek mythology world. And so people, when they died, they go to the underworld.
Yeah. And so we need to get her out because she's going to be the main character of this next arc that we're telling. So please write the story for us where she gets out of the underworld.
And they smartly came to you for, that's a very Dan sort of story. So.
Did I tell you, I was talking to some students at a writing excuses retreat about how I had been hired to write a story. And one of them, in her words, she 360 no-scoped the story. She looked at me and she said, and it took about 5 seconds. She looked at me and she said, Dan Wells writing a magic story right now. Oh, you're writing the story where Elspeth gets out of the underworld, aren't you? And I'm like, I can neither confirm nor deny. So shout out to my friend Miri who figured that out.
I will say my favorite, or one of my favorite Dan memories, is you walking into Typecast RPG, may rest in peace, and being like, Donald, tell me about War of the Spark. And I went, oh, you want to know about the magic story? Why ever would you want to do that, Dan? And you're like, well, I'm gonna be real quiet about this, and went, cool. So he's who got picked.
So anyway, it's a good story. Everyone look forward to it, and everyone buy a copy of it, and make sure to tell all your friends that it's adapted from my unpublished story.
And maybe they already have in the acknowledgments a nice acknowledgement.
It could be. It could entirely be, and it's just not on these cover preview images.
Yes.
So I'm not mad at them. I am going to send some emails and find out if I should be mad at them, but I assume that all is well.
Yep. So what are we actually talking about today? This is a Dan pitched episode.
Okay, so
this is our actual 4-year anniversary.
Yes, this is episode 208. This is our 4-year anniversary of doing this show,
which is a little daunting. That sounds like a lot of time.
It does, and it doesn't feel like we've been doing this for 4 years. I think our solemn dedication to not working hard on this, to not preparing in any way.
Hey, I prepared the last episode.
That's true.
I flubbed a question at an interview and thought,
this'll be fun.
This'll be fun to flub even harder.
Okay, so what I have pitched for this episode is blatant plagiarism of the Off Menu podcast. This is a British podcast with comedians Ed Gamble and James Acaster, where they will get somebody on. They've been going for like 5 years. They're massively successful. They'll get somebody on and ask them to tell them their dream meal. Favorite starter, main course, side dish, dessert, and drink. And so I love the show, and I listen to it all the time, and I thought it would be fun to ask you all of those questions.
Yeah.
So
that's where we're starting?
That's where we're starting.
Let's set some ground rules here.
Okay.
Can I magic things?
Yes.
So you can.
This is a dream restaurant. So you can specifically say, I want this as prepared by my grandmother who passed away.
Right.
Like anything you want, if there's a specific restaurant you want, you can dictate the environment in which you eat, who you are there eating with.
But it should not be cheeky. For instance, I don't want to say, well, I would like to have a drink from, the cup that makes you immortal out of Indiana Jones, right? Like, we're not going that far into the...
I think that's a little too far.
Yeah, that's not in the spirit of
one
this
of the
conversation.
jokes that an audience member made on one of their live podcasts was that her ideal drink would be her shampoo, except it tastes as good as it smells.
Yeah, that's okay. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's as far as we go.
We go as far as that, but we're not like, don't be...
I don't want to eat ambrosia from Mount Olympus and live forever. Yeah.
But like the coffee from Dune?
The coffee from Dune is absolutely on the table, I
think.
Okay.
Because I do have a grandma story. My grandma made I fell in love with mac and cheese, which I often list as my favorite food because of my grandmother's mac and cheese, which was made using a cheese so she didn't make it with a roux.
Yeah, you've told us before. She just did the noodles
and then
straight out some of the water.
Yep, had this cheese that she put in with some milk and butter and stuff like that just was stringy and delicious and a little bit like rubbery to give that stringy thing.
Okay.
And I love the flavor of it. And then that dairy went out of business. And I've never had that mac and cheese again. Now, I might eat that and be like, oh, this is just like I've made many times trying to replicate my grandma's, and it's never gotten there because I was a child.
Yeah.
And I was seeing through the eyes of a child. So we have to kind of put my grandma's mac and cheese as there's a side dish of mac and cheese from my grandma just to try. Right.
Okay.
But that's the only magical one that I would want.
Okay.
Because I would want to see if this is this actually good? Like, or is it eyes of a child?
Yeah. So your grandma preparing mac and cheese with her recipe and that specific dairy that went out of business. So you have the right cheese and everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
But otherwise, like my main dish is going to be a steak.
A steak.
Right? If I'm picking the perfect meal.
The perfect meal for you, what cut of steak?
So it's going to be a New York.
Okay, New York strip.
New York strip, or if we're in Kansas City, Kansas City strip.
Okay.
Because they don't like New York.
Is it the same thing and they just call it different? Okay.
Yep. And I grew up in the Midwest, and so you actually saw Kansas City strip on menus as often as you saw New York strip.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They just call it something different. And I like a New York strip because I like a firmer steak. A lot of the steak lovers love ribeyes.
I'm a ribeye guy.
Yeah. And I definitely will like a good ribeye. Like when I cook at home, I'm almost always going to pick a ribeye to cook instead because it's a lot harder to mess up a ribeye because the fat content covers a lot of
multitude
ills.
of sins.
Yes.
I could never nail down what my favorite cut of steak was until I went to Argentina and ate a ribeye there. And it has been no question ever since. Best steak I have ever had in my life.
But I like a steak with a good crust on it. Like if there's not just a bit of char to add to the flavoring, then I'm not happy with my steak. I like that just a bit of char.
Okay.
I don't want the steak well done. One of our first episodes was talking about steak. Well done is too chewy, too firm. But I do like a medium well or a medium plus.
Okay.
Like once you get to the lower ends of medium, the texture starts to change to where I don't like it as much. The flavor is still good, but the texture I don't like as much. So I kind of like the flavor of less done and the texture of a little more well done. So that's why I like a medium well, but just like a slightly under medium well is like the
slightly
perfect
like
cook.
a medium plus
is the
but with
perfect
a really good sear, really good crust on it.
Really good sear, really good crust. That's the perfect steak for me.
Do you want sauces on it?
No.
No?
I want a little bit of pepper.
Okay.
Generous amount of salt, maybe a dash of garlic.
Okay.
And particularly if you're using some butter. If you're gonna do garlic butter, that's good. But I do like how Ruth's Chris will, get a very hot plate, put some butter on it, and then put the steak on the butter. When I make it at home, I do something like that. So
Do you grill your own steaks?
I'm not very good at it, but I occasionally do.
How do you do it? Do you do reverse sear? Do you do the normal sear?
So I do a normal sear and then into the oven. I just basically use Alton Brown's.
Okay.
Like you can find his online. It's just 2 minutes on each side into the oven until the temperature that you want come out, and then maybe put it back in. Take usually a cast iron, right? Because then it can go right in the oven. Take it out, drop some butter in, spoon the butter over it. And if you sear it right, it will have that char on it, and then the butter will take a little bit of the edge off of the char, and you've got just a fantastic steak for me, at least.
Cool. Do you use one of those thermometers? Like you have a thermometer in it while it's in the oven?
Yeah.
With a little cord coming out?
I do. And that I know, the experts don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't make a steak as good as the best steakhouses at home. I know a lot of steak cookers can. They can make one better than you can get, and I can't do that. The steakhouse steaks are better than my steaks, but that is what I do.
I've wanted to get one of those thermometers.
And I just watch it. I set it to beep. When it beeps, I take it out just a little before the temperature I actually want it at.
so that it can warm up.
So it can, warm to that temperature. And I'm trying to remember. It's like, is it 151? I can't remember. I always look it up, and I'm like, all right, there's the number that's right between medium and well done, and I'll take it out basically at medium and let it cook to the medium plus.
Not counting any of the Argentine steaks I have had.
Yeah.
My favorite steak is actually one my son cooked. Ethan, before he left for college, he did a reverse sear on one. He smoked it in our charcoal smoker, brought it up to temperature. It was kind of a bright red, and then he brought it inside, seared all the sides in butter.
That probably would be really good.
It was so good.
So you get it to temperature first. Got it.
And I have never been able to reproduce that since.
And this was Ethan?
Yeah, this was Ethan.
Well, when's he going to make me a steak?
Well, that's what he said. At the time, he's like, bring me with you one night to writing group, and I'll make steaks for everybody. So
he could come to Intentionally Blank.
Oh, that would
we
be
have a
great
kitchen.
Idea.
He could make us steaks. But he has to bring the smoker. We'll have to have Scar bring the smoker.
Scar, do you have a smoker?
No, but apparently you do.
I do. It's not super mobile. We don't have the charcoal one anymore.
Maybe we'll get a smoker.
We've got Brian McClellan just up the hill.
Yeah,
and he's got a smoker.
Yeah. So we'll get McClellan smoker.
Ethan lives in Indiana right now in a welding apprenticeship program.
Okay.
But he is gonna come back. He'll be here like August or September. He has a few weeks in Utah.
Let's for real set this up and let me try Ethan's steaks, and I will buy the expensive cuts of steak.
Nice.
And so he'll get to have an expensive steak for free if he's willing to make us. some.
He is more than willing. He would love to do this.
So the thing is, some of the best things to pair with a steak. A lot of people do mashed potatoes and things. I once had at a steakhouse in Atlanta. They paired a very lightly cream-sauced angel hair on the side of the steak.
Instead of a mashed potato?
Instead of a mashed potato, and it was perfect.
Cool.
Like a lot of the Alfredo is too thick. It overshadows. You put too much parm in there, it's going to overshadow the flavor of the steak.
Yeah.
This was just a light sort of creamy sauce that was not as strong. And normally, if I'm having a fettuccine, I want a stronger flavor to the sauce. This was a very lightly flavored sauce, and that pairing was divine. The crust on the steak, that char mixed with having some of that angel hair was wonderful.
Okay,
and so I'm going to put that on.
That's what you're going to put on your dream main course plate.
Yeah.
Any vegetables on the plate?
So
broccoli or asparagus?
I like a what's it called? Blanched broccoli. I don't like I don't want it cooked too much, but I don't like it raw. Is it blanched? Is that the right term?
Yeah.
My dad does a broccoli that's wonderful.
Or a roasted broccoli.
Roasted broccoli is really good.
You don't want it mushy.
Yeah. I want it to crunch when I bite into it, but not taste raw.
Okay.
And broccoli is the perfect for me pairing with a steak for vegetables for whatever reason.
I agree. I'm the same way.
I
I've
always
had
get
very
broccoli.
good asparagus with steak.
Yeah.
A lot of steakhouses love to do that one.
They love to do green beans. But yeah. So we have two pastas with my steak.
That's okay.
Okay, in my
because
dream.
this is your dream meal.
Dream meal.
There's no calories involved.
Right, but we skipped over appetizer.
We skipped the appetizer. What's your favorite? What's your dream appetizer?
Xiao Long Bao from Din Tai Fung.
That's good because mine is also like pan-fried dumplings, which are different than Xiao Long Bao, but
is that a third pasta that I've added to this meal? Do you count dumplings as a pasta?
I don't.
Pasta adjacent.
Yeah. So the Xiao Long Bao, which is soup dumplings.
Soup dumplings from Din Tai Fung.
Okay.
Straight from the one in Taiwan, so I could compare because I haven't had the one from Taiwan recently. I've had the LA one a couple of times. Beverly Hills Din Tai Fung. Travis Gafford took me to Din Tai Fung.
Oh, that's cool.
When I was in Beverly Hills 2 weeks ago.
The only Din Tai Fung that I have been to is in a mall somewhere in LA.
Okay.
It was not the Beverly Hills one. It was a new one that
they're
had branched
all
out.
in malls. That's what they do.
Oh, okay.
It's their thing. So I love Din Tai Fung.
It's very good.
But Yeah. So I would put some Din Tai Fung dumplings as my appetizer.
Okay. Now they usually come in like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Or is it 8 in one of the little steamer trays?
Yeah.
You
Probably
gonna eat a whole steamer tray?
too much if I'm having a steak. But you bring me a whole steamer tray and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. What do you like to put? Do you put anything on dumplings? Do you add like vinegar or soy sauce?
Vinegar, soy sauce, and ginger. Fresh. Well, yeah, fresh ginger or sometimes pickled ginger is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Fresh ginger, I think, is the better, but
So we start there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My dream starter would also be Chinese dumplings.
But which ones then?
There is a place in Salt Lake called Mom's Kitchen, which I love and which is wonderful. It's a dingy hole in the wall, and it's great. And they do a pan-fried dumpling that is more of a bready
Okay.
kind of dumpling.
Yeah.
It still has the very chewy pasta, but it's pretty thick pasta.
Okay. Mhm.
And it's just some kind of barbecue pork inside, and they do it, and the bottom gets very crusty. And they're fairly
We oughta
large.
go there.
They're like the size of a slider hamburger.
I would love to. Yeah, we should totally go there.
We should totally go there.
Yeah.
When are you in Salt Lake? You're never in Salt Lake.
I can go to Salt Lake. We should do we should go there. Next time you and I do dinner is like just
We actually have on the calendar, I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a secret, but we have a double date on the calendar because they want to do like a podcast with our wives.
Oh yeah.
Talking about us or talking about living
Yeah.
with authors or something. We could do that.
We should go to Mom's Kitchen. It sounds like it's a hole in the wall. They wouldn't mind us filming.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I will say that location, or we already have a plan for that specific
okay.
that
Do you?
podcast.
Oh,
So
come on.
We'll do a different one.
It better if it's not as good.
I
As
am
Mom's
fairly
Kitchen.
confident you
Okay.
will not be disappointed.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do it another time.
Yeah, I knew that was coming, but I don't know any details about it. So
This is though, for our listeners' benefit, this is how you have to schedule Brandon's time.
Yeah.
Can we make it productive somehow?
No, we can do it when it's not productive, but the slots are less. I can go out and just do a double date. Like I went last night with friends in the ward. We just went up. We went to Valters. There was no business.
You know, last time Victoria Schwab came into town,
Yeah.
I took her to Mom's Kitchen,
Oh, really?
and she's coming in again.
Yeah.
And you're doing like a bookstore interview with her.
I'm
or
not. I'm just
something,
going to
aren't
lunch
you?
with her.
Oh, okay.
So we could just go to Mom's Kitchen again.
She'll be so sick of it.
Yeah. All right. So we've done appetizer.
Main course.
Main course. Are we adding a
Side
salad
dish.
as well?
You're gonna add a salad?
How many courses is this meal supposed to be?
As many as you want.
As many as you
Do
want.
you want a salad?
I do like a salad with my
What
steak.
kind of a salad? Are we talking Caesar wedge salad?
I don't like wedge because they usually put blue cheese on it,
Mm-hmm.
and also I much prefer mixed greens or just hearts of romaine to a wedge of a iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
So I usually will get like a house salad, but occasionally a Caesar. Caesar usually they put too much dressing on, and I don't like that. I don't like a soggy salad.
So a house mixed salad. What kind of dressing do you like?
I like a ranch. Pretty boring on my dressing choice. I'll eat a lot of different dressings, but if you just a fresh made ranch with fresh herbs is really good.
Yeah.
So no tomatoes.
Yeah. I do like how with a perfectly cooked steak and a salad with ranch and then mac and cheese on the side, you're really presenting the ideal Nebraska meal here. So
There's
your
no
heritage
potatoes.
is shining through.
The ideal Nebraska would have some corn and potatoes, but I think they'll accept a mac and cheese. I'm moving more south by adding the mac and cheese. This is a little more Texas than it is Nebraska, where it would be a potato.
Yeah, and you said that the pasta with the steak was at Atlanta.
Atlanta.
So we're going a little southern on this. Okay, cool. What are you drinking along with this?
Well, I'll give you one guess.
Is it ice water?
It is ice water with lots of ice.
Ice water with lots of ice.
I will occasionally have like a root beer. I'll occasionally have a weird mocktail. But with this meal, I'd probably just want ice water.
Okay. Pebble ice.
Pebbled ice, or better than pebbled ice is nugget ice.
What is nugget ice?
Nugget ice is larger pebbled ice.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want, so the pebbled ice, so what happens with ice is when you add water, the cool, like soft bits that have air trapped in them, they melt first. So if you have too small of a nugget, all you're left with is like glass, right?
Yeah.
If you had it like this, and it's still very good. It cools things really well.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to crunch ice, you need it actually be larger so the core that's got the air trapped in it doesn't melt immediately and leave behind the shell.
Yeah.
That's what makes for the best ice for crunching.
Okay. I am not one who likes to crunch his ice.
No, you like things lukewarm.
Yeah.
You don't want ice in them at
I
all.
am coming around to slightly chilled.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So we're now ice cold and slightly chilled?
Ice cold and slightly chilled. I still don't love ice in stuff, but if you just run the tap cold.
Yeah.
But like most of the time when I go to a restaurant and I say water with no ice, they will bring me the coldest water physically possible without freezing. And that is not what I am looking for.
Okay.
I want water I can drink without getting hypothermia.
Their water or ice at restaurants, or the ice water at restaurants is never cold enough.
Really?
Yeah, they bring it and there's like 3 pieces of ice, and you'll watch me. I'm like, please pour the ice into mine. And then they won't, it'll stay in. And I'm like, oh. And then they'll go to the next person. They get the 3 chunks of ice, and I don't have any. Yeah, it's sad.
It's too bad. You need to just always have a cooler of ice that you can
Right.
take to restaurants.
It's really funny in Europe when you're like, I would like a cup of ice and some water. And then they'll bring you like a cup of ice that they got from the bar with a spoon in it. Always. It's yeah.
Because they think you're going to spoon
You're going to spoon
ice cubes in
an
one
ice
at a
cube.
time.
And then I take the spoon out, I dump the water they gave me into that, and I drink from that, and they think it's hilarious. They're like, because Europeans don't do ice water.
They sometimes, but not to the extent that
Yeah.
America does. No. Most Americans tend to like their water excessively cold.
Yep, because it's delicious and refreshing.
It does. It changes the flavor of the water. I totally admit.
So what are you having with yours? Your drink?
Oh, my drink? My ideal drink is that virgin pina colada from the Polynesian Cultural Center.
Oh,
in
okay,
Oahu.
yeah, that is a really good drink.
It's really good.
Did we get your main course? or
No,
anything?
my main course would actually probably be a chili relleno or a chili relleno burrito.
Okay.
That is my favorite food in the world. And this is northern style, so there's not sauce poured off over the top of it. It's made with an Anaheim pepper and queso chihuahua or queso menonita. And yeah.
I was in Don Joaquin the other night. I actually went in and got something. I'm like, this is such a Dan place.
It is such a Dan place.
And the line of every person in line before me, and there were only like 4 of them, were all Mexican.
Yeah.
And they all ordered in Spanish and knew exactly what they wanted. And I'm like, okay, yep. And then, the tacos come out with nothing on them, and then there's just this full bar of stuff to dump on your tacos.
Yeah. Onions and cilantro and radishes and things. Yeah. You are a fancy place eater. I am a hole in the wall eater.
Right.
I will always choose some divey place where locals eat.
And I like that food generally. I've been bitten once.
Really?
So Dave and I were on tour. And
This is Dave Wolverton.
Dave Wolverton. And we were driving together and we were hungry. We just stopped at a random place on I-80 or whatever. It probably wasn't I-80. I think it was coming back from Seattle through Idaho. So whatever, that probably was I-80 because I think it curves up there.
Yeah.
Or I-15.
Maybe.
I-15. It was I-15 that turned, anyway, where we stopped at, we're like, random little town. We'll go to the restaurant that's not a chain, that's the random little town's like diner thing. So bad.
Oh.
It's one of the worst meals I've ever had. And it's where I started to figure out my theory. Like, I think small town food is generally pretty bad.
Because they don't have the competition.
They don't have the competition. Dives in larger cities can be really good. And once in a while, like there's a few places if you know from the locals which ones are the bad ones, which are the good ones, you can still get very good food in a small town. But it's on average, I think you're gambling.
Yeah.
In those small towns, you have to know the couple places that make really good food.
I took a gamble on a small town restaurant once. I was driving, same area. I was driving here to Seattle to do a book tour. And somewhere in Washington, outside of the Tri-Cities, I stopped, and I had just gotten back from my one book tour in England. And my publicist there kept teasing me about chicken fried steak. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Here's a family restaurant. I'm going to order chicken fried steak. And it was phenomenal. It was one of the best chicken fried steaks I've ever had. But you're right. It doesn't usually pan out that way.
Yeah. I still crave that chimichanga I had in Arizona. When we were there last time. It was so good. Every time we have Mexican, I'm like, oh, I wish I could magic up that. So maybe just a bite of that chimichanga could be on the side of my plate.
We'll bring you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
What's
bring you
your
an extra
side
little
dish?
plate. My side dish, this is cheating a little bit.
Okay.
But I have thought about this a lot as I listen to their podcast. Hole in the Wall Dive in Honduras.
Okay.
In Roatan, Honduras, which is basically a cruise ship town. We went ziplining, my wife and I.
Okay.
And then afterwards, when we were all done, I asked the guy who ran the zip lines there, where do you eat lunch?
Right.
Where can I go and get real Honduras food and not just the tourist food? And so he took me, it was practically next door, but it was back down this driveway. And there was a little shack where they did oxtail stew.
Okay.
And they had this kind of mustard-based hot sauce that was yellow. And it was one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was so good. And you could see the cruise ship from there, but all the tourists were going other places. And this was just where the Hondurans were eating.
That's awesome.
It was incredible.
Well, we're almost out of time for this, so we need to do desserts.
Okay, what's your dream dessert?
More soup dumplings?
More soup dumplings.
I'm joking.
They do, Tai Fung does do chocolate dumplings.
Yes, and they are pretty good. But my favorite desserts are actually ones that mix butter, cinnamon, and sugar.
Okay.
So you find something that has that. Monkey bread is one of the classics. But you give me something that mixes those, I'm probably going to be happy. So I'll pick monkey bread right now. But anything that mixes those. I can also do things that are warm and chocolatey with a vanilla ice cream.
Okay, like a chocolate cake or
the right chocolate cake. One of those kind of fancy high-end ones that they're little tiny. You get at the fancy restaurants that are melty in the center and then come with a scoop of ice cream.
Yeah.
Those can be really good.
Okay. Monkey bread is a great choice. Is this as prepared by a particular person?
No. Generally, I like monkey bread is monkey bread. You just get some cinnamon, sugar, butter, and bread and cook it. And it's, awesome. Emily makes a good one.
Cool. Mine, growing up, my brother and I would always say that the best dessert is more dinner.
Yeah. That's why I joked more dumplings.
Yeah, more dumplings. As I'm getting older, I am starting to understand desserts. I don't like sugar in general, but I do feel after I've eaten, especially something very meaty, I do kind of crave something sweet, and I can understand that. But I'm just going to say watermelon.
Okay, yeah,
a
fruit
really
is a
good
great idea.
ripe watermelon. I don't think there's anything you can do to food to make it taste better than a good watermelon already tastes.
The problem is the good watermelons are 1 in 10.
Yeah.
And that's the rough part with watermelons. If I'm going to pick a fruit, it's going to be Korean grapes. You can't get them over here. I've put Scar on it. He can't find them. Even Scar cannot acquire for me Korean grapes. Have I talked about this in the podcast?
Yeah. I remember some comments on YouTube that were saying, "Oh, go here." But
Did you pull those for me, Donald?
I have. They are prepared and ready to go. I have been keeping a close eye on that.
Okay, we're gonna try to get those to Scar so he can get the Korean grapes, and hopefully we'll be able to show up with the Korean grapes. I'm sure you can get them in California. It's how can you get them in Utah without them being $120 a pound or something like that.
That's the problem with it.
That's a lot of money, right?
That is a lot of money.
Yes, Brandon.
Okay.
I was craving pastrami yesterday, and just on a whim, I thought, I know Katz's Deli ships nationwide.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
And it is $40 a pound for their pastrami,
Wow.
which is,
That is a
I can't imagine wanting that pastrami that much. As much
Yeah.
as I love it,
Mhm.
I'm willing to eat lesser pastrami.